The news, good evening. The President of the Republic, Mr. Revel Ramkalawan, currently on a 5-day working visit in the UAE, has held several key meetings and undertook a series of visits yesterday. The delegation first visited the Abu Dhabi port, Khalifa, where they received a guided tour, met with the port management, and attended a presentation on the overall organization and day-to-day mode of operation of the port. Later in the day, the president also visited Masdar City, which is considered a pioneer in sustainability and a hub for research and development, spearheading innovations to realize greener, more sustainable urban living. This was an opportunity for the president to explore areas of possible exchange between the UAE and Seychelles. President Ramkalawan also got the opportunity to visit the new Abu Dhabi International Airport. The Risk Communications and Community Engagement Committee of the Ministry of Health has conducted a compliance check in town today to assess the level of adherence to public health measures in shops. The committee members were joined by the Infection Prevention Control Team and students from the National Institute for Health and Social Studies, whereby they observed interactions in different shops. In a press release, the Ministry of Health says the aim of the activity was to engage with retailers and understand how they are implementing different measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19. One of the concerns of the shop owners were that customers were refusing to wear masks. The visit was conducted in malls and arcades in Victoria, including the Orion Mall, Divas Arcade, and Shipping House. The private sector wants the 2021 budget to look at the businesses from two perspectives, that of the employees and the business as a legal entity. The chairman of the SCCI, Mr. Oliver Bastien, expressed this view as the Ministry for Finance, Economic Planning and Trade continues with consultative meetings in preparation for next year's budget.
Number one is to look at our employees of the private sector, and number two, to look at the business as a legal entity. So therefore, policies, intervention must be skewed towards these two components. Now, we fully appreciate that effectively we are in a situation where the coffers are much more lower. We understand that the intervention will be smaller, because at the end of the day, we are in a crisis and we're not getting the inflows that we usually have. So the expectation is understandable, that the fact that we will not get the same intervention as 2020. But what we're saying is that we must ensure that we prioritize where the intervention is going. We prioritize the intervention to ensure that we are keeping the machine basically ticking, to ensure that we are productive, to ensure that we're creating employment and we're sustaining employment that is creating towards the coffers of this economy. So then, therefore, by the end of 2021, we can all be smiling because we know that we've worked hard to generate a strong GDP, to generate employment, to move this country even more forward.
Mr. Andy Jean-Louis will step down as Secretary General of United Seychelles next month. He made this announcement during an interview with the Seychelles News Agency. We have not been able to reach Mr. Jean-Louis for more information about his decision, but we managed to contact the president of the party, Mr. Vincent Meriton, who has indicated that United Seychelles will further discuss these changes in party leadership once internal procedures are completed. In that same article from the Seychelles News Agency, it was announced that there are two candidates vying for the position of president of the United Seychelles Party. This is to replace Mr. Vincent Meriton. The new president will be elected during an extraordinary congress next month. Mr. Meriton had indicated that he will step down as president of the party since before the October elections. Yesterday was the turn of the National Assembly members to increase their knowledge on living values. This was through a workshop organized by the Seychelles National Youth Council, the SNYC. The workshop is part of a series on values which the SNYC has been running since the beginning of the year in schools, professional centers, and workplaces across the country. Forgiveness, simplicity, humility, and unity are amongst the value they are discussing. The workshop with the parliamentarians is also the last for this year.
The reason we are doing this workshop is for us to be able to work on our values and ethics. And as members of parliament, they are the example. Everybody's looking at them. All the youths are listening to them and how they conduct themselves, how they do their work every day, how they are in the community. It will help our youths to be able to work on their own values as well.
Would you describe the parliament as a good example when it comes to values?
We don't judge people. Everybody is different. Like I say, Elvis Presley said, values are like fingerprints. Everybody is different, but it leaves behind what you give out. So it's important that the parliament gives out the best of themselves as well, so that the youths can, not only the youths, the whole community can follow them.
3 crosses have been erected on a hill near the St. Therese Parish Church at Plaisance. Construction are still ongoing at the site and it's expected to complete before Christmas Day. The parish priest, Father Pierre, says the crosses remind believers of Golgotha, the place where Jesus was crucified along with 2 men. He says that once completed, it will be a place of prayer. Writer and artist Martin Kennedy has launched a new book entitled The Million-Petaled Flower of Being Here. He presented copies of the book to the Principal Secretary for Culture, who also heads the National Arts and Culture Fund. The production and publication of the books was in collaboration with the fund. The launching of the book was held at the SEAD premises at Anse-Royal, and Mr. Kennedy says that the book targets mainly young and emerging artists and photographers.
We wanted to put together a collection of images which would inform particularly young people, students and young emerging artists, and provoke conversation and dialogue about how photography interacts and informs lots of other things. It's a 240-page book. It grew as we started putting it together. Some of the images here are what I would call straight photographs. In other words, I'm there with my camera, I see something interesting, I record it. Because one of the principal ways in which we use photography is exactly that. But we also use photography to analyze. And we also use photography to add to it and mix it in with other things, collage, painting, video, and create new hybrid forms of work. And that's increasingly the case in Seychelles, where we see photography getting a more and more important foothold, not only in training institutions, of which this is the most significant one for the visual arts, but also in studios and galleries.
And with this, we come to the end of this news summary. Thanks for watching.